So, I was able to upload that video. However, when I went to go delete it to make more room, because once it's uploaded, I don't need it. It wouldn't let me do that. I had to do it a different way. So they're definitely just not happy with the making of the videos. So as much as they may seem like they're not helping or they're not working, they definitely don't like them, so that means something. I had made a video saying about this whole situation, how crazy it sounds, and how nuts this all is, and how it's like the crazier they are, the crazier I sound, and but at the end of the day, that these things are all real and they all happen, and for anybody saying, well, just bat down your house and everything, she's already in here. They started doing that in Hawaii, and that's how this girl became a part of my torture, became my main torturer, became my main rapist, became the woman who has sex trafficked me to other people. And I suspect she was a homeless woman because she had that smell. And I mean, I had kind of batted down the house and made it so that they would have to at least there would be evidence of them coming in. It wasn't like I could prevent doing it. Like I didn't put straight up bars on my windows. I put wooden slats that were, lattice material. So it wasn't difficult. It just, you could tell if they had been in there. And I would find the lattice pulled out. And it would look from afar that, or even up close, that it was still just sitting in there, but if you pulled on it, it would just pop off, which you did need to do with a hammer, turn it around, get the nail out. So they would leave evidence like that. So they started putting this woman who is about 4'10", weighs 80 to 85 pounds, had long, brown, curly hair that looked a lot like mine. On a good day, on mine being a good day. I think her hair's just good. But my hair's never been really that great. It was the best it was, though, before they started cutting it, which they started doing as soon as I told the police. And I think that I posted a video about them being able to, like, it to be clearly shown that I'm being drugged by testing my hair. Because I don't do drugs or drink. So once I did that, then they started cutting off my hair. And it was, it was actually pretty noticeable after a little bit. At first, most people I don't think would have noticed it, but even my mom was like, yeah, you're losing your hair. And I'm like, no, I'm not losing my hair because it's nowhere to be found. I mean, if your hair just starts falling out for some other reason, and there's always another reason for everybody in this circumstance. There's always another reason for everything that happens because they want to find something more logical. They want to find something that makes sense to their brain, that doesn't bring fear into their world that these kind of things happen. But my hair wasn't in the shower, it wasn't in my bed, it wasn't on my pillow, it wasn't on my chair, it wasn't on the couch. It just sort of evaporated into thin air. And she was cutting it. And she was going along the lines, and she's still doing that, which is crazy. Because you see how much, if you can compare the videos, or I don't know if I posted, I guess I didn't post any, and I don't know if I have any to post, but I shaved this all down to the skin. All around here was all down to the skin, and this is how much it's grown back. And yet the hair on top here hasn't grown. And in fact, it's been thinned out. And that's just a psychological thing at this point. But to answer your question, she is already in the house. And she's a very real person. That was a little tink on the door. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear that. She's a very real person who I'm guessing has a very real criminal record. That would have a very real ticket that brought her to Hawaii. That was a homeless person, and with this kind of behavior that she's exhibited upon me and my body, I just don't see her not having some sort of record, and it just cannot be that difficult. to find her, because she's unusual. It's not easy to be that small and be an adult. I've always been considered small. I've gained weight over the past couple of years, mostly due to this and my brain not really being in a self-loving mode. So, yeah, you hear somebody, mijo. So she's very real, and they stuck her up in the attic. I mean, I found different places she'd hide in the house. And these things are all things you're putting together because you are knocked unconscious. But, waking up with bruises all over my body for a while, they were just having fun doing that. Raping me. I woke up with semen coming out of my body half a dozen times, cutting my pubic hair off, cutting the hair on my head off, cutting my eyelashes. And I would buy brand new soap, shampoo and conditioner, these little bottles I started doing because I couldn't keep the other ones safe. And I would put them right by my bed with the audio recorder and toothpaste, and they would go through all of them. And you could hear it, all the little bottles opening and closing while I was unconscious. So, just take a moment to realize that I have no inclination to want to believe that this is happening. And I actually waited way too long to make my first police report of what was happening. Scared of not being believed, the insanity of the situation, the fact that I wasn't conscious, that I could just only describe what I'm just describing right now. That I would wake up and, there would be the smell of a homeless person all over my bed, my towel. My towel would be wet from somebody taking a shower with it. The shower would be wet. Things that, just can't happen by themselves. And that's when I started with the audio recorders, and I caught them in the house at night. And that was actually a mistake. I had only been recording when I would leave during the day, and they would be in my house all day long. There were beams cut in my roof ceiling, which they replaced right before when I went to go sell the house. Yeah, it was weird. They were taking all the knots out of the wood. Don't know what that was about, but all of a sudden they were just littered all over the roof. I mean, in the attic space. The gas was killing all the cockroaches. It was weird. I never had to not deal with one live cockroach. And they were all in the attic. Because I guess they were drawn to the smell of the other dead cockroaches. So they would go up there while it was being gassed, and then they'd all die. But the smell of a homeless person was very clear up there. And, and you could see them going, I have Koenig ceilings over there, and the entrance to the attic is actually a piece of Koenig, or it was. And you could see that someone had been coming in and out. So that's why I can't avoid them being in the house, because she's already in here. And that's necessary because the months she spent befriending Vida and Mijo to make it so she could come in, and that they wouldn't bark at her and they wouldn't get upset with her. And I've heard her voice on there calling their name, consoling them, trying to appease them, manipulating them, and which is really sad for them. And all these things have been very hard hurdles to get past emotionally, to think about her touching my animals, to hear my animal being beaten, or cry out in pain, bark and growl, and then cry out in pain, and then won't let me touch him the next morning. So as much as the police here in LA want to pretend that this is not a real situation, they want to pretend like this is a story, and they've kind of stuck to that whole MO for 12 years. The problem is that these things are very real, and these things do happen. Sex trafficking happens. Women get drugged and sex trafficked all the time, sadly. People get raped all the time, drugged and raped. It would seem that I have a particularly strange circumstance in the persistency, but it's because they keep doing the story. And I've come to the conclusion that why they keep doing this and why they keep targeting me is the moment they stop, then I kind of get my feet under me. And I am able to think clearer. I'm able to be away from them, which of course helps. And yeah, like in Portland, I'd have hours away from them going and walking. Over here, they follow me around in Franklin Canyon Park. They literally follow me around and shoot that stuff at me. I've actually caught them when we went a different way one day, and it was just getting dark faster, and so I took them a different way, and all of a sudden there was a car sitting there, and they literally rolled down the window and shot this shit at me in broad daylight in the middle of the park. So, see, you hear those little tinks in the background, you probably will be able to, because they actually pick up pretty well on this. That's my neighbor over there tossing stuff at the window. So, and I cut this off because it's over 10 minutes, and I'll make another one. I'm going to take the dogs out of this house and get me out of this house. You want to go somewhere? You ready? You ready? I'm not her. I'm not her, sweetie. I'm your mommy. Do you remember me anymore? You're just in such a horrible state of mind, I know. Drugged and being manipulated and fearful. It's just awful. To do this to an animal, to do this to a person, is just beyond my comprehension, and definitely not something I could make up in my head, because I don't really make up stories like that. I'm not really a, like, fantastical, like, let's talk about horror stories type of person. So, real stories, sure. Made up ones, not really. I don't need to make anything up that's horrible, because I'm living in a really, really bad situation, and I know really bad things happen in the world. I don't really need to make up something. All these things happen to other people. They're happening to me. And LAPD's line of, this is not happening, this is all so far-fetched, it doesn't really hold water to me. It really doesn't. Like a sex crimes detective not ever hearing about a woman being raped, drugged and raped, and not having a memory of it? Really? Never heard of somebody being sex trafficked before? Drugged and sex trafficked? I think we've all seen that on the news. So how can you say that you've never even heard of it when you're a sex crime detective in Los Angeles? It doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. So they've never been able to fully get the I'm crazy, this isn't happening thing to be reality. And they're trying. And LAPD Van Nuys Department is trying to help them to do that. I'm pretty aware of that.